Hello everybody, it's time for our next few chapters of Running on the Roof of the World by Jess Butterworth. We left it last time where the two friends had left the village. We think that potentially Mum and Dad may have been arrested following the incident with the man on fire in the village. And if you remember, she has her backpack on, and in her backpack she has her prayer ball, and she has the very important information from the resistance. And she's also got that picture of the Dalai Lama because she thinks, doesn't she, that the Dalai Lama will be able to help her mum and dad, who they think might be in prison or at least been taken away by the police. Okay, so we'll see what Tash and Sam are up to. Chapter 13, Curfew. Oh yes, and I do sometimes read a little bit fast. I will try and slow down this time. I just get really excited with an exciting story. Okay, Curfew. The air is still and cold. Patrol trucks rumble in the distance. The curfew will be lifted soon. Hurry up, Tash, says Sam. I'm moving as fast as I can. The bag's weight is slowing me down, squashing my chest and shooting pain down my lower back. There's nothing I can throw away. Dad always says that the mountains are harsh and unkind to those who aren't prepared. We creep down the street to Calcine's door. His family owns a truck. They could take us to the mountains. It's parked right next to their house so as not to block the narrow road. I squeeze round the bonnet and knock gently on the rough wood. Inside is a dim light. I close my hands round my eyes and peek through the gap in the blind. I see a rug and a chair next to a carved table. On it sits a steaming mug of tea. Someone is awake. I knock on the window and wait. The curtain twitches. I knock again, twice. Sam flinches at every sound. Why aren't they opening the door? Let's try the next one, Sam says. I realise what he's thinking. They don't want to help us, not after what happened last night. At the next house, I hear the scraping of a chair being pushed back. I try a different approach. It's me, I whisper. Tash. Sam bounces up and down beside me to keep warm. The door stays shut. I turn the handle and rattle it. Please, I say. Stop, says Sam, scanning the path. You're going to get us caught. I slam the palm of my hand against the door. Let's try someone else, Sam says. He rests his hand on my shoulder. They'll be risking everything to help us. I clench my fist, wishing I could pound it against the door. Wait, says Sam. I have an idea. Georgie's sister lives over there on the corner. I glance at the small house. There's smoke rising from the chimney, and I can tell it's been recently whitewashed. A bird perches next to it and sings its dawn call. There'll be a patrol coming soon, says Sam, beckoning me forwards. I run to the house and tap with one finger on the door. It opens an inch. Who's there? Asks a hoarse voice. It's Tash, I whisper. Please let me in. The latch clicks and Georgie's sister ushers them inside. Who's this? She asks, pointing at Sam. I'm Sam, he says. I know your brother. She studies him for a second before nodding. You need to get as far away from here as possible, she says. If the police find you, they'll never let you go. She rips a piece of thick paper and scribbles a note on it. Take this to the tent shop in the main square. My brother will give you what you need. I glance outside and it's almost light. The market will be opening. Thanks, I say, heading for the door. Maybe we can catch him while he sets up the shop before the soldiers get there. You can't go looking like that, she says. They're searching for you. She shuffles off and returns with scissors. Clasping my long hair, she snips it off in 2 strokes, so it's the same length as Sam's. I run my fingers through the strands. My throat is scratchy, and I try to swallow it away. All I can think about is Mum plaiting my hair last night. Dodgy's sister gathers what's left of my hair and ties it on top of my head. This was my husband's, she says, sliding a woolly hat over my head before pulling the ear flaps down. Now you two could be brothers. She passes me the note. Go quickly. Curfew's over, and it's not safe for you here. Chapter 14. Pack. Sam fastens the bag tighter around my shoulders. It sits higher on my hips now, so I'll be able to keep up with him. What about here? Asks Sam, nodding towards a wooden chicken shed. We stash our big bags behind it. I hesitate over the backpack. It's too risky to take it into the market. I stuff it underneath the shed, burying it beneath some straw. Hens follow me in a line onto the stone path, and I usher them back towards the shed. Sam beckons me, and I peer round the side of the alley into the main square. Soldiers guard every side like statues. It's the first time I've been back since the day the man set himself on fire. I reach out and grip Sam's coat to steady myself. I cast my eyes over each of the soldiers to check that Spaniel, Wildface and Dagger aren't there. There's a trick that Dad taught me, a way to tell if a soldier is looking for trouble or will leave you alone. You study the way each one stands. If they're slumping or leaning forward slightly, you're safe. The first sign of trouble, though, is a fidget. It can be a toe tap or a finger twitch. The second clue is the eyes. Ready? Asks Sam. The soldiers all look sleepy, thankfully. I pull my hat down as far as it will go. Ready. Their eyes follow us as we enter. The main square looks empty. It only takes me a second to realise why. The corrugated metal doors of the shop fronts are rolled down. There are no stalls spilling onto the streets, selling brightly coloured cloth, kitchen utensils and vegetables. All the shops are closed. On one of the doors is a poster saying, "Disobedient will not be tolerated." I wonder if Dodgy was arrested too. I scrunch the note in my fist. Let's pretend we're with these two. Sam nods towards a man with a spiky haircut and an older man deep in discussion. They're wearing black coats with multicoloured pockets. They're not from round here. We sidle up and stand beside them. I do my best to look like a bored child. We should have got more supplies when we had the chance, says the older one. We'll stop before Lahaza, replies the other. They're leaving the village. This could be our escape. I stare at Sam, trying to get his attention. Lahaza, I mouth. Sam glances at the soldiers, then back at the men. Take us to Lahaza with you, I whisper. We have money. They gather round us, blocking us from the soldiers' view. It makes me nervous. Please, I say, you have to help us. How much have you got? I unzip my pocket and unfold the bundle of notes. The younger one snatches it all out of my hand and counts it. Hey, I say, lunging at him, that's mine! He pulls his fingers out of reach. His hand is covered in splotches of paint. Give that back, says Sam. What are you going to do about it? Call the soldiers? I can't tear my eyes from the money in his hand. You have to take us with you, I hiss. Otherwise you're nothing but a thief. Do you have papers? Asked the older man. I shake my head. We'll never get you past the checkpoints on the road out of town. If you meet us further down, where the grasslands cross the road, you can come. I think about our secret way into the grasslands and hope it's still there. Sam and I discovered it last year when we followed a rabbit between two big rocks. A small boulder had fallen and broken the fence. The other rocks had hidden the damage. I peer through the gap at the nearest soldier. He started tapping his foot. There aren't many people left in the square and we're going to miss our chance. How do we know you'll be there? Asks Sam. The older man shrugs. We'll be by the grasslands at midnight tomorrow. If you're there, you can come. We will be, I say. Wait for us. Chapter 15. Patrol. Sam shakes his head. We shouldn't have done that, he mutters. We could have been seen. They might report us. There's probably a reward for turning us in. I can't get distracted. The shocks and numbness have started to fade, and it left me with a rage that shoots up and down my body. This is the only idea that we have. Somehow, I'll have to make it work. It's at least a day of walking, I say. We need to leave right now. We get back to our bags, which is just as big as I remember. 2 huge sacks propped up behind the chicken shed. I lie down on my stomach to slide the backpack out. There must be something important in the backpack, I say. What's inside? Sam asks. Dad's leaflet, I reply. His eyes light up. He's on his hands and knees next to me, pulling at the buttons on the backpack. It unfastens and he lifts out the papers and flicks through them. You could have missed something. Let me see, I say, brushing straw from the outside of the backpack. In a minute, he says. Maybe there's something that could help. His eyes scan the pages of the leaflet as if he knows what he's looking for. I snatch at the papers. I'm sick of Sam thinking he knows more than me. Dad gave them to me, I say, not you. The words tumble out before I can stop them. Sam's eyes flicker around us. He raises his finger to his lips. It maddens me even more. Then, through the ground, I feel a pulsing march. A police patrol is near. I seize the papers and clutch them under my coat. Sam flattens himself against the ground, hiding the backpack underneath him. Dragging my elbows across the earth, I peek out from under the shed. 3 pairs of military boots stomping down in front of us. Stones pinging off in different directions. Behind them follows another row. I hear Sam's quick breathing next to me. He stares straight ahead. My stomach twinges with guilt. It's not Sam's fault my parents are gone. The last row of soldiers passes, and we lie and wait until they're far enough away. I watch a spider rotating in its web from the vibrations. Sam, I say finally, didn't mean that. Forget it, he says. Let's get out of here. He jumps up and heaves the bag onto his back. He helps me with mine, tightening the rope. I smile at him, but he won't look me in the eye, so I let the corners of my mouth drop. There's nothing to smile about right now. We move silently through the alleys, away from the patrol. My shoulders and neck ache from the weight. We pass the yak stables. Eve sticks her head over the half door. She watches me with her dark eyes and sniffs with her big nostrils. Her pupils are wide. She knows something is wrong. I wish I could take her with me. Turn to Sam. Maybe we can borrow Eve. We can't just take her, he says. Manny needs her. He won't mind, I say, pausing to catch my breath for a second. I used to help him with the herd when I was younger. He trusts me. I stroke Eve's muzzle and unlatch the door. My breath is loud and rasping. I can't seem to silence it. What are you doing, mouths Sam? I beckon at him to follow me. He shakes his head. I push the shed door open with my side and let the bag thud to the floor. My skin is hot and sweating. Eve nuzzles me with her wet nose. Yaks are clever and low. When I was younger, I'd help herd them after school. Dad wanted me to learn about yaks. He wanted me to learn about everything. I press my head against her thick coat, smelling the earthy dung and straw and holding her nose with my hands. Don't worry, I say to her. She pushes against my hand. This is a bad idea, whispers Sam. Come on. We have to take Eve, I say. Fine, says Sam, throwing his bag down, but let's do this quickly. A strange tingle creeps up my spine. A shadow is cast from the doorway. Manny, leaning on his staff, prayer beads swinging from his wrist, is watching us from the entrance. Chapter 16. Dragon. Manny is swamped in his sheepskin coat. The sleeves run down past his hands. I'd forgotten how old he is. Mum says he's looked the same for as long as she can remember. Like the mountains, the wind is carved into his face. I wonder how long he's been there. He doesn't say anything at first, but pulls on the coral earring hanging from his right ear, stretching it and letting it ping back. What are you doing? He asks eventually. I don't know what to say or where to begin. Manny shakes his head. Let's see what your parents are going to say about this, he says. Or maybe I should call the police. Wait, I say, fumbling in my pocket. The soldiers took my parents and we need to get help. I pull out the photo of the Dalai Lama and pass it to him. Manny stares down at the picture. You two could be in serious trouble for this, he says. I notice an old yak bell hanging round his neck. It's rusty with a wide slit at the bottom. I wish I had mine. They're special, carrying the spirit of the yak herders with them. You're going to find the Dalai Lama, are you? Manny asks. I nod. I've always wanted to meet him, he says. It's too late for me now. Manny looks round. There's no sign of people anywhere. He leans on his staff, unbuttoning his jacket and opening one half of it. There, hemmed in the lining of his coat, is the same photograph of the Dalai Lama. If you meet him, think of me, says Manny. I always wish to carry his blessing. Of course, I say. You can go, he whispers, but look after my Eve. She's very precious. Thank you, I say, pressing my palms together. Go, says Manny, waving his staff quickly. Quickly, go. I take the harness off the wall and slide it over Eve's back. She turns her head and nuzzles my side. Together, Sam and I heave the bags and tie them with the rope. Sam leans on them and his body weight whilst I secure them. Eve follows me outside and I slip the rein over the leather post. Manny appears from the next stable, leading a black yak with white markings over his eyes. The yak's thick hair and shaggy tail look like a skirt. His hooves stick out underneath it. This is Bones, says Manny, offering the lead to Sam. They don't like to be separated, Eve and Bones. Sam smiles and climbs on Bones. I put my foot onto one of the bag holdings and swing my leg over Eve. Good luck with the journey, he says. The yaks will keep you safe. Manny gathers his lips together and cries a high-pitched whistle. The yaks respond instantly, propelled forward as if they'd been slapped. Sam points at the sky. For the first time in ages, there are clouds above the mountains. They glow red and pink with the morning sun. Two clouds have joined together to form a dragon's head, mouth open, two teeth pointing down. The wisps of cloud are the flames licking the sun. I hold my head up high and think of Dad. I have the look of the sky dragon. And off they go, Sam and Tash, on their journey with the two yaks, Eve and Bones, going to try and find the Dalai Lama to rescue Tash's mum and dad. Okay, see you next time.